Now, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, J-Man Aviation. Now, in today's video, we are going to be back in the flight simulator today, but with a kind of different add-on company today, and this one is going to be Fly By Wire. I showed off in a previous video the Fly By Wire A320 Neo for the flight simulator. That gives a very big upgrade to the basic A320 that is in the flight simulator, with almost all the switches animated and fully functional. Very, very useful, very nice plane with fly-by-wire systems and computers actually integrated with the flight simulator. So this was a very, very cool plane, but if you have kept up with aviation flight simulator news, you would know that they have actually released their long-awaited A380 for the flight simulator. Now, we have never had an A380 that has been good for the flight simulator, why I've never made a video on it in the flight simulator, just because there hasn't been any good add-ons, and anytime there is a good add-on, or there is that add-on, it's a waste of money or a waste of that. But this is, one, very free, which I'll be saying a lot in this video, and two, a very good, it comes in a 4K and an 8K version. I've downloaded the 4K version. My PC can definitely run 8K, but I did not think we'd need it for this video, just for a little smoother FPS in the flight simulator, because that isn't the best with running the hardest of things. So in today's video, we will be checking out the A380. We already have it in the flight simulator, and we'll check it out. Let's go. Now, here we are in the flight simulator. We are currently in the Fly-by-Wire A380. As you can see, this is one of the two default liveries that you have. You have the normal fly-by-wire livery, and then this one that has a little extra pride flag on the back. Just thought to do that in this video to get a little more color in the thing. But this is the Fly-by-Wire A380 here. And it's a very, very large plane. If you didn't know, the A380 is actually the largest commercial plane in the world. This is the largest one, of course, made by Airbus. And this is a very good outside model. Again, this is the 4K one. Very, very cool livery. This is just directly from there. Of course, we have 4 engines, kind of like the 747. And if you look here, we have little tiny Airbus winglets, as usual. And this very cool aileron system that I'll show later in the video when it's actually moving. And we also have this ginormous tail that I actually ran into because I thought it was smaller. I mean, this is just a very massive plane. You can actually see, once we get moving, all these parts are very, very nicely animated. But one thing we'll check out before we even get into the cockpit is the cabin. Now, yes, they have made the cabin for this add-on. We'll check it out here. I'm kind of not good at camera mode, so it might look bad. But this is kind of based off of the Emirates cabin, which I have a livery that I downloaded off of flightsim.to for free that I'll show you guys in a second. That is the Emirates livery. But I just want to show you the default one just to see what fly-by-wire has done. So this is more of like a premium economy type area here, and we'll keep going back. This is more economy passengers, of course, the largest section of the airplane going all the way to the tail of the aircraft. Now, you can see this is actually a very public beta, or alpha, sorry, a very public alpha. So some things in the cabin and in the cockpit might not look very complete, but they are always working on it. So when we definitely go upstairs, you can see kind of back here in this back galley, there's a little bit of openings, but you can see this beautiful door here. This is very nice looking. We can actually go up the beautiful stairs here in the back of the aircraft. Again, I'm not good at camera modes. It's very fast, and I can edit it, but it's hard. This is, again, where we get to more alpha mode. Of course, this is a public alpha. Very, very nice plane overall, but some of the interior modeling is still in a work in progress, which, of course, is completely fine. So back here in this back part isn't fully complete, but we do have this nice little bar thing that Emirates serves on their aircrafts, A380 aircraft. This is more business class, so you have your center here and your tablets, little things here. Very, very expensive business class. And we come over here, more business class. We have our overhead things, and you can also see the windows are actually pretty realistic by the A380. They have even they have the shade button. Of course, the shades don't work, but they have the button. Again, this is a little more of that. And now we come into first class. Now, this is Emirates Classic First Class Suites, which, if you haven't checked out on the video in YouTube's before, they have closing doors, tablets, and very large displays. This is very, very nicely modeled here. Again, this is mainly modeled off of Emirates. Again, this isn't the Emirates livery. This is just fly-by-wire. So they animated they animated their cabin pretty much over that. Now, of course, none of the bathrooms are edited yet, but usually they have showers in them. And then coming up here, of course, we have our cockpit. Now, this is the cockpit of the A380. It kind of looks more like the front of a ship, like the front deck of the ship. It looks very, very interesting, like you're commanding a big, giant cruise ship through the ocean. That's what it feels like here with all these touch screens, kind of like the A350. And, of course, with our 4 engines down here, which are working. I had to configure them with my throttle quadrant. But I will show you how to do that. It's very easy, very simple. But this is the plane right now. We're currently in the cold and dark state, but we can already see a lot of buttons here that are flashing here, and all these switches are mainly working. A few aren't, but these are very not necessary things that you wouldn't need. But the brightness switches and a bunch up here. Again, we have the fire thing, so we can diffuse fire things. We'll put that back before we break it. We won't actually pull the landing gear gravity drop this time. If you watched my last video on the A320 from Fly By Wire, I accidentally pulled it before we even started the plane, and I messed up the gear for the rest of the video. So that was something that won't happen. But we also have some weird things that are animated, like just this door opening. Very, very unnecessary things that are added because of Fly By Wire. And you can see over here we have sunshades for the cockpit, which are useful if you have some sun glare. They're kind of everywhere. You have some up here too. You can see those are all very cool details to see. Now coming over here, we do actually have openable windows on both sides, so you can see that there. I'm not going to open the captain one just because it's hard to get behind the computer tablet thing. So now, but we will check out the tablet. So of course this is fly-by-wire. You just click it to power it on. Now, so you can see here is the thing. You can import sim brief data, and you can also import you can also import Navigraph things into the iPad here, or the FlyPad as they call it, and you can check out all of that. So we can actually open a few doors here. This is the front door here, of course. That one opens nicely. We are actually let's connect the jet bridge. We are at LAX here currently, so it looks like we're actually going for this door apparently. Oh, the door does open. Okay, so yeah, we're actually opening that door instead of the first one, so we'll close the forward door unless we have dual jetways, which I know we don't. So yeah, that's weird. I can't actually close that door even though both doors are open. That's interesting. So that's cool. Yeah, a lot of the doors will actually open. I can't open all of them from the tablet, but if something like a jet bridge is open, that will do that. So that's very interesting here. You can see all that. Oh, there's the door forward. So that one's also open. It shows that. There's a bunch of these. We can open this one too. I don't know where this one goes. Yeah, that one opens apparently this top one, but it doesn't actually animate on mine for some reason. That might just be an early bug or some different thing with my computer. I don't know. But that one is, you have a bunch of controls here. We are actually going to grab the ground power unit, because without that, we will not be able to move this plane or even look at the beautiful screen. So we have our little truck here that's moving. So this actually does use the ground stuff at LAX or in the flight simulator. So if you're at a stand where there's no ground services, it might be hard to start up your plane. Now, of course, you can just start up your plane quickly by coming down here into some of the settings. You have lighting presets and checklists, failures, which we'll check out later, and a bunch of this other stuff that you can see here. Navigraph charts can also be put in. And your classic stuff here for fly-by-wire. So you can come to sim options, and you could go into the throttle detents, and this is where I fixed mine, so mine now work with the thing. So we'll just go back. We'll start up the GPU now, which is all over here. There's a bunch of them. So we'll start up. So now we can see all these beautiful screens come to life. You could have the classic fly-by-wire Airbus noises. You can see self-test. It starts testing for 30 seconds. All the screens do this, and then they come on. So this is the beautiful stuff. You, of course, have to start your ADIRs to nav, so you can get actual things here, or else it's just going to stay like that. One thing that does show, it knows the airport that you're at, and it will show the actual trim setting for the airport. So it says takeoff for this, takeoff 42 0.7% trim. Now, these seats do actually move. One thing that no one would ever even try to do. But you can see the seats move. So that's a very unnecessary feature, but it works. Now, we'll do the classic Airbus, just turn on everything that says off. It's the easiest plane to start up, along with the A320. This does have a lot more switches than the A320, so a lot more stuff. But pretty easy, just turn on all your batteries, make sure all that's on. Pretty easy, and we could already start up the APU. Me being the Boeing pilot that I am, I'm always looking for a startup switch, like the wipers. Oh yes, the wipers also work. So that is that. But of course, Airbus actually has an APU button, so I am being stupid there. I'm used to Boeing planes. So we can start up the APU there. We can also see our IRs are in a line for 2 minutes. So this is our primary flight display here. This shows our attitude indicator, or artificial horizon, along with your speedometer and your altimeter there. We can see that the APU is actually starting up. You can see by the little bits of heat that are coming out. You'd hear it. Hear that the Airbus A380 is turning on. If we look below, we have a bunch of landing gear. This is six wheels on the main landing gear. Very, very heavy body. Now, we'll probably skip all of this, so we're going to skip the actual startup, and we're going to do a little bit of flying. So let's get over to a runway and start flying. Alright, so here we are at LAX's runway here. We're going to turn off the parking brake. You can see that goes away in this little checklist here. We have our ground spoilers are armed. Now they are. And our seatbelt signs can go on. There we go. Oh boy, my god, that is just me being bad at flying. I was getting distracted. So you can see a bunch of this here. We are going to turn, yeah, this is very hard to control now. So we're going to take off at about 150 knots. So we are off the ground, kind of. My god, this has been a very, very awful takeoff. We're going to actually see this beautiful gear animation come up. Let's see all that. You can see the gear. All of them 6 wheels on the landing gear going up. And of course, ginormous doors along with the front. Wow, we are very, very low. Yeah, this would be a very deadly flight. But this is, of course, the plane. It flies very nicely. It feels like we have a lot of resistance. It looks really nice. And one thing to point out is these beautiful, very, very beautiful ailerons here that flap very nicely. They're all separated. So you can see them kind of move around there. It's very, very nicely modeled. So is the rudder. See, I'm moving my rudder pedals. You can see it's actually very slow, so it's kind of up like the normal kind of realism of the plane. You can see it doesn't just flop around everywhere. We can also see, of course, our rear tail fin here of that. Perfectly good. Now, this plane does have a little bit of a reputation right now of trying to kill itself. It kind of flies directly up, and sometimes the fly-by-wire-ness of the thing doesn't really work the best. So we'll see how that is now in the future, but it is definitely much weirder to use when it's trying to do things that you don't want to do. So this is an interesting plane, and it is working pretty well. You can see it's flying. In our next video, I am actually going to make a second part to this video just because this one is going a little long. And in the next part, I will show how the plane lands. We're going to land at a few crazy airports. We'll check out some failures in the next video, and we'll also see some of the things I've experienced from just flying this plane already. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back in the next one tomorrow with another Airbus A380 video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and have a great day.